Okay, hello, welcome to this first economics tutorial video. So the way these are supposed to work is I will go through some topics and ask some questions throughout these videos until you pause the video, and then you obviously have a go with pen and paper answering the questions, and then I'll go through the answers and explain what the theory is. Okay, so obviously the first part of the specification is fairly short. It's about scarcity, choice and opportunity cost. So the first thing that would be good to do is define what is meant by the basic economic problem. So if you might pause the video now and write down your definition. So you should have got that the basic economic problem is that individuals have got unlimited wants. However, the resources required to fulfill these wants are scarce or limited in their supply, and therefore this means that we need to make choices. Okay, so the basic economic problem is that we all have to make choices with our limited resources. Whenever we make these choices, there's a concept that comes into play. Hopefully in your head you're thinking of opportunity cost. So next thing I want you to do is try and define opportunity cost. So you can pause the video and write down your definition. So opportunity cost is the value of the next best alternative foregone. Okay, so in the spec it asks you to be able to illustrate the concept of opportunity cost for possibly individuals or the government. So an example for an individual, like we've done in lessons, is if you walk into a shop with £1 and you decide to buy a dairy milk, for example, the opportunity cost of that is the next best alternative. So what you could have got instead, for example, a Galaxy chocolate bar. The government, so if the government spend £1 billion on building new schools, the opportunity cost of that decision is they could have perhaps spent on infrastructure, so building new railway roads instead. Okay, so it's important that you can give examples to illustrate the concept of opportunity cost. So based on that definition of the basic economic problem, resources are limited. Okay, so our resources are what you call factors of production. So see if you can remember what the 4 factors of production are now then, please. So obviously your factors of production are capital, enterprise, land and labour. Something just came up there in the square box I forgot about. The specification asks you to be able to identify the difference between economic goods and free goods. So if you want to pause the video now as well there then and define both of them. So a economic good is a good that has got an opportunity cost either in its production or consumption, which to be honest with you is most things. And if it's not an economic good, we've got one real example of a free good. And a free good is a good that has no opportunity cost in its consumption or its production. And that really is air, okay, or oxygen, I suppose, that we breathe in around us. That's a free good because there's no opportunity cost associated with the production of it. Like obviously we don't know who really produces it, and in consuming it there's no opportunity cost. It's not like you could have done something else instead. So that is a free good. I suppose some textbooks say seawater might be an example of a free good, but everything else then that's not that are what's classified as economic goods. On factors of production then, you're asked to be able to identify the rewards for each factor of production. So you can write down the rewards now please for each one. So you should have got capital. The reward for capital is interest. Basically, if so, the main theory behind this is if businesses invest in a new machine or capital equipment, they will have to obviously borrow that money, presumably from a bank, because normally they're in the hundreds of thousands, these massive pieces of machinery. The reward isn't necessarily the interest per se, but it's the fact that the return of the capital needs to be greater than the interest that they are paying back on the loan for it to be feasible. Okay, so the interest is sort of like a benchmark to the reward that capital should at least be gaining. Might be a good idea as well now to pause the video and try and define what a capital good is, or what's meant by capital. Okay, so capital is all man-made resources used in the production process. Okay, man-made resources used in the production process. Do the same now then please for enterprise. So what's the reward, and try to define it. So enterprise, the reward for enterprise is profit, and enterprise is the individual that brings together the other three factors of production, so capital, land and labour, in the pursuit of profit, which is the reward, whilst taking a risk. Okay, so that is your definition for enterprise. Same for land now then please, pause the video. So land is all natural resources used in the production process, and the reward for land is rent. And finally labour, pause the video. So labour is all all human input into the production process. Okay, so it's the physical and mental work that goes into the production process, and the reward for that obviously is wages. Okay, so that is just a really quick first tutorial there on scarcity, choice and opportunity cost. You can obviously replay these videos and try and answer the questions again if you got any wrong.